as a former Massachusetts state trooper, you have a very unique perspective on this Karen Read case.
Right from the onset, Collier, this case got massive attention, not just from our local media, but again, it's spilling over nationally into the national media attention. And what's interesting about this case is that you have a police officer that was found dead, not in the line of duty, right? So we see these different incidents that happen where maybe there was an ambush, maybe there was an officer involved shooting, maybe there was, we just had an officer that was killed recently that was working at a traffic detail and was hit by an excavator. So the death of a police officer isn't uncommon, but the fact that Officer O'Keefe was found on the front part of the property of a residence in Canton, and allegedly the girlfriend, Karen Read, in this case, has been identified as the perpetrator. So very, very sharp attorney from the West Coast is here joining us in Massachusetts, defending Karen Read. And some people describe him as flashy, but I would say he's doing his job. And Karen Read is getting fantastic counsel in defense of her allegations.
Now, one of the things there's a lot of things that stand out to me. This timing, and this was something that was just covered in the Jennifer McCabe testimony. I believe she testified on Friday and then yesterday, and then she was grilled today by the defense. Something about, Googling something, and Haas long to die in cold was the message. I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but it is, there's coming under this, this scrutiny of like how she typed this. And what is it that the defense is really trying to set up and insinuate? Is that she is somehow responsible for O'Keefe's death?
So the defense has done a tremendous job of connecting all of the players, anyone that was at the party, anyone that was in the house, anyone that was at the Waterfall restaurant for the birthday celebration prior to the after party. So the defense is really trying to show some type of bias before the jury. And keep in mind, the proof of burden is on the prosecutors. Karen Read, in our democracy, in our criminal justice system, does not have to prove her innocence. So essentially, the defense attorneys need just one juror to cast a shadow of a doubt. And that's enough either for a mistrial, which means the case can be tried again. They'll go out, they'll select a new jury and retry the case. Or it could result in a not guilty, a guilty, and then what most people don't understand is the other factor of not so much a mistrial, but a situation where neither innocence or guilty has been established, but the prosecution cannot retry.
So there will be no double jeopardy as it's supposed to be outlined in our, Sixth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution? Sixth Amendment?
That's correct. The due process, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, due process.
14th Amendment due process.
Exactly. Okay, so and somebody was commenting here about the timing of the Google search alert, and I believe there was a few of them. It was at 2:33 a.m. that it was at 6:03 a.m. I think the defense was showing these, and then the messages were erased as well. But also at the crux of this case, there's been no cause of death established. Is that correct, or is that just conjecture that I'm reading?
Well, the medical examiner said that the cause of death is not consistent with a vehicle, a collision with a vehicle. The cause of death, as we see now, is head trauma. And we know that Officer O'Keefe had 2 black eyes, but there's also damage to the skull. So I've been a expert witness in depositions for use of force, police conduct, police misconduct. And I always say, there's a side of the witness or the defendant, there's a side of the plaintiff, but there's also the side of the medical records. The medical records tell the story. If Karen Read impacted Officer O'Keefe, John O'Keefe, with her vehicle, there should be other damage on the body that would be visible somewhere on the upper torso, somewhere on the arms, some other bruising that would be in connection with that type of injury or that type of trauma received by the body. So again, I believe that the defense is going to go back to the medical records. That tells the independent story. It's absent of bias. It's absent of any type of feelings or emotions, pro or con. It just tells the story. So I also think that there's more information that can be found on the computer of the vehicle. Just like in a plane accident, we want to find the black box. Well, there's information that we can glean from also the car computer. Was there a high acceleration in reverse at a specific designated time? Was there a sudden and immediate stop after that acceleration in reverse? So we really need the forensics of things to come back into this testimony to really shed some light.
You were a state trooper for 24 years. Talk about how that technology has changed and so rapidly.
Part of along with the technology is just reverse engineering, thinking about what the crime scene is, thinking about the information in the form of evidence that you have, and just reverse engineering what's plausible here, what could have happened in this situation. And if you come up with gaps, or if you come up with some type of puzzling piece that you cannot bring some clarity to, well, you haven't landed on any type of causation. So, those types of things, along with the technology of the vehicle, I'm even thinking about Ring doorbells. Did any of the neighbors have a Ring doorbell that could be gleaned that we can get some information from? So, the eyewitnesses have been interviewed. There'll be more coming in the days and weeks ahead, but there's still a whole forensic side of this case that really hasn't been explored yet.
Well, you just said in the days and weeks ahead, right? We're 16 days into this trial. How many weeks is this thing going to go on for?
It's interesting because we still have the angle of Trooper Proctor. We don't know where his testimony is going to land. That came up in the last 24 to 48 hours in testimony from Kerry McCabe regarding her relationship and how many phone calls to his wife. So again, Canton as a community, it's a small community, and it's one of those communities where a lot of people, you might not know them by name, but you know them by face. Very tight-knit, very close-knit community. So the fact that all these people, Boston police officers, state troopers, civilians, they all know each other. They all spend quality time with each other, birthday parties, summer cookouts, all these different things. This community is pretty tight. So that's the job of the defense, is to be able to try to show any type of bias in this investigation in order to cast that reasonable doubt in the minds of at least one juror.
I believe there was some testimony talking about Karen Reed had maybe some potential jealousy issues with his past ex-girlfriends. I mean, that seems to be standard fare in relationships, right? You don't like the exes, and it is what it is, right? Did they have a contentious relationship?
Some of that testimony is coming out, and that's the job of the prosecution, trying to show motive. But by and large, you have a community that when this case finally became polarized, you did have people picking and choosing sides. And you had people that are close to the Alberts, people that were close to the O'Keefes. They want justice. They want to know and have someone brought to justice for the death of John O'Keefe. Now you have the media that weighs in. You have the speed of social media really pushing the conspiracy story. And as we can see, our communities and our public safety system, there's a division across the country. You have a lot of people speaking out against public safety. And if there was some ill doing, or if there was some type of planting of evidence, I'm not following those conspiracy theories. I think there's a story that's going to reveal itself, or if the story is not clear and concise, it's going to lead to a mistrial, right? It's going to lead to possibly a not guilty. But we have to let those things play out. There's there was testimony today that how some of the witnesses are being harassed. I don't subscribe for that. Let this thing play out. These people, their very quiet lives have been disrupted by this whole case, and we need to let both prosecution and the defense be able to do their jobs and let justice take its course.
Mover Nation, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, check out this one right here, or this one right here, and don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps with the algorithm. On that note, I'm Collier Landry. I'll see you on the next one.